flow of about 240,000 cubic feet per second. Remember, it takes between 3 and 6 hours for the flow to flow out of Keystone Dam and down the river to downtown. So at this point, with the waters that we're looking at this very minute, it's approximately a flow of 240,000 cubic feet per second. However, the flow out of the dam right now that will come down in 3 to 6 hours is 280,000 cubic feet per second. So we're going to see a further increase in the water level, and a 40,000 cubic feet per second increase, which we are going to see over the next 3 to 6 hours, represents a vertical rise in the water level of approximately 2 to 2¼ feet. Now, as we talked about earlier, there is still a possibility at 4 p.m. this afternoon that we will see the water level outflow increase further to 300,000 cubic feet, and if that was the case, we would see the waters rise further still throughout the evening and into the nighttime hours. And as the Civil Defense has been saying, they're going to have to hold the outflow from Keystone Dam up in the 280 to 300,000 cubic feet per second range for at least the next 2 days and maybe for the next 4 days, because there is an awful lot of water still upstream from Keystone Dam that has to come down through the lake, and it's going to take a long time to disperse this water and let it flow through the dam and to be properly dispersed downstream from Tulsa. So we're also looking at severe flooding down in the Muskogee area. They're saying that some of the flooding down in Muskogee is going to be the worst that you folks have ever seen. At this point, the crest is not going to reach Muskogee until sometime, it looks like, on Tuesday, but it's probably going to be the highest level that Muskogeans have seen in history. And there's been several devastating floods down in Muskogee over the past years, one back in 1945, another one in 1959, and another one in 1923. And it looks like at this point, Muskogee will probably see the highest reading on the Arkansas that they have seen in their recorded history. So we're going to continue to monitor the flooding situations and the future crests as we get the information.
Mike, I've just been handed another mandatory evacuation order. This is for Bixby, mandatory evacuation south of 131st Street. Now, I'll repeat that, mandatory evacuation in Bixby south of 131st Street. More misery. Now, we have talked about evacuations. Now let's talk about shelters. When you're evacuated, some of the places that you can go. In Tulsa, Central High School at 3101 West Edison, Webster High School also, Nimitz Junior High, Holland Hall High School. You see the addresses there. Take them down. The downtown YMCA at 515 South Denver, Garnett Church of Christ, the Job Corps. Also, we might mention at 1133 North Lewis, Brookside Church of Christ at 38th and Peoria here in Brookside, the Brookside Baptist Church here at 37th and Peoria, right next door to us, Tulsa Elks Lodge at 5355 South Harvard, 1 Eaton Square at 61st and Memorial. These are all shelters now. Progressive Properties at 1525 South Sheridan, Sterling Suites at 61st Memorial. That's for handicapped, disabled, or elderly. Call first at 254-1404. Now, the Maxwell Convention Center at 4th and Houston is going to be opening up, as well as St. Vernon Catholic Church at 4001 East 101st Street. In Sand Springs, the junior high, Clyde Boyd Junior High at 305 West 35th. Also, Charles Page High School there in Sand Springs at Adams and Park Roads. In Broken Arrow, the Salvation Army Boys Club at 1400 West Washington, as well as Sequoia Middle School and South Intermediate High School at 101st and Elm. And Jenks, Liberty School at 201st and Harvard, and the Free Will Baptist Church. In Okmulgee, the National Guard Armory. Now, we must make note that this shelter is nearly full. Jenks and Bixby residents, please go to the Glenpool Shelter. Now, Glenpool's shelter is at the Glenpool High School. Now, Beth Ringel just mentioned this to me a moment ago. We've been getting calls. People are going to Glenpool High School and getting lost, thinking that it isn't open. Go around behind the school at Glenpool. It is open. You're welcome there. They want you there. But don't be confused. You may have to drive around behind the school at Glenpool to find a way to get in. At Leonard, the small town of Leonard, Leonard's Senior Citizen Center is open. It is a shelter. So is the Leonard Baptist Church. In Sapulpa, First Presbyterian Church at Oak and Lee Street, and the First Baptist Church at Elm and Thompson Street. Over in Prattville, the Salvation Army is located at 4404 129th West Avenue. Now, let me give you 3 sandbagging locations. First of all, you can obtain sand and bags at 909 West 23rd at the ARA parking lot. Norm Stahl is the man to see there, and there is his number. We have just been handed, before I get on with the sandbagging, we have just been handed Memorial Drive will be closed at 5 o'clock, if not earlier. So Memorial will be closed at 5 o'clock, if not earlier. Mike, also, let me give you again 3 more sandbagging locations. 3rd and Houston, 51st and Union, that's the Warehouse Market parking lot there, and at 49th and Peoria, just down the street from Channel 2. Anything you need to add?
Jerry, I'm thinking about that Memorial Drive closing. I would imagine that's probably Memorial Drive across the Bixby Bridge.
Must be.
US 60, I believe it's US 64 South, which is an alternate Memorial Drive. That's probably down in the Bixby area that they're going to close South Memorial Drive.
We need to double check that.
Good. That's all I have for now. We're looking, waiting for a further update as of 4 p.m. on whether or not they're going to increase the output from Keystone Dam an additional 20,000 cubic feet per second. And as soon as we find out, of course, we'll certainly let you know.
We had expected that an hour ago, or well, really 42 minutes ago, that it would have been upped. The Corps of Engineers thought that it would go from 280 to 300,000. It did not. It is still at 280. They will reevaluate in about 10 or 15 minutes from now, and Mike and I will be back at that time.
This has been a News Center 2 special report.